So this is a webinar called What Should I Do at Home This Summer? It is about online opportunities and resources. I am your local peer career advisor, Izzy Hoff, and I am recording this webinar so that other students can access it later after it's already occurred. So we're going to start by talking about the different things that we might be able to do at home this summer, because we don't know how long this lockdown is going to be going on for, and so it's best if we can plan to have things to do and keep ourselves busy and working over the summer, just so that we have things to focus on and feel like we've been doing things that are going to help us next year, next semester, etc. So some things we're going to talk about are funding, online resources, studying, applications with fall deadlines, networking, and personal interest growth. So to start out, I'm going to talk about two sources of funding from CLBR that are still available. The first one is the Summer Internship Award. So this award is up to $4,000 for an unpaid or underpaid internship. So right now, CLBR is mostly only approving remote internships. So this is any kind of internship that you can do online from your home. However, they are accepting exceptions with CLBR staff approval. So if you have an internship that you would like to apply to that is not remote, then you can contact a CLBR staff member and ask them about it and see if this is something they'll accept as you apply for the award. So this $4,000 can go towards living expenses. So this includes rent, utilities, transportation if need be, or materials, maybe like some kind of software you might need for the internship. So things like that. And it's accepted on a rolling basis. So you can apply any day now, and the committee will review applications on Tuesdays, and they will keep accepting applicants until all funds have been shared. So I recommend that you apply as soon as possible because we don't know when the funding is going to run out. So as of now, they're still accepting applications, and I don't know how long they will be, hopefully for at least another week or so. And to apply for this, what you need is confirmation from your internship sponsor that you have a position for the summer. So this could be anything from like an acceptance letter to an email exchange between you and your potential boss. And so that is a must. And then you need a resume and a cover letter. And the cover letter is basically, it's just addressed to CLBR explaining what you're going to be doing at this internship and what that's going to provide you and what you're going to provide the organization that you plan to work for. So if you have any questions or want any help applying to the Summer Internship Award, feel free to book a PCA or a CLBR staff member on Handshake to ask questions or to review application materials. And the second opportunity for funding that is still available this summer is the Career Advancement Fund. So the Career Advancement Fund is $500 that can go towards any cost that is something that will advance your career. So this has been used in the past for purchasing professional attire so that you can go to a formal internship, or for example, transportation costs for a job shadow, or things I was thinking about that this could be applied to for remote things this summer are online course fees or purchasing software that you might want to learn, things like that. So anything that you feel like could advance your career in some way, you can apply to CLBR and see if they'll cover the cost for that. So this one's pretty flexible, and if you have any questions, once again, feel free to reach out to PCAs or CLBR staff for more details about the Career Advancement Fund. Both of these you can apply to through Handshake. So there's a link to the CLBR website right here, and that's for the Summer Internship Award. There's a similar tab on the CLBR website, but the applications are both found on Handshake. So moving on, I'm going to talk about a couple of online resources. So some things that you can do at home by yourself on your computer, or like teaching yourself how to code, for example. I know that some students are interested in this because it's going to help them in classes in the future. So practicing R, Python, or other things that you might use in school. There's a lot of online resources for that, and one among many is a website called Cloud Data Science that allows people to take free online courses and learning about data science in general. So there's all kinds of stuff like that, things that I don't even know about that exist out there online. And so if you've wanted to learn some kind of skill like GIS or some kind of like software system or maybe like Adobe, there's resources out there for you to learn how to use that online. And something I found is that, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, people have made certain resources that normally cost money free. So I downloaded Adobe resources for free lately. And I don't know how long they're going to be continuing this service, but there's some things out there that aren't normally free that are now. And some things that you might want that do cost money, you can apply for the Career Advancement Fund if you see fit. That could help you out. So another thing is updating your LinkedIn. Your LinkedIn is important because it's kind of like an online, always accessible resume for yourself. And you can use this tool to connect with other people. And when you do, they can see your LinkedIn profile and your work history and your education and stuff. So that's why it's important to keep it updated, because you want to make sure that what people are seeing is up to date. It's not like just your high school, but it's also what you've been doing at Reed and the things you've done since you got to Reed. So this is important. And I'm going to talk about networking a little bit later, and LinkedIn comes back in there. So something else that you can do this summer is fill out your Handshake information. So Handshake is important because it connects your profile to different like employer databases. So it feeds you information about jobs you might be interested in applying to. And if you don't have the correct information in Handshake, like say for example, on Handshake, the major that's in there is the major you said you wanted to be when you were an incoming freshman. And since then you've switched majors, and now Handshake is giving you irrelevant information for job positions that you have no interests or no qualifications for. So that's why it's important to fill out Handshake and keep it accurate and up to date, because they will, like Handshake can send you emails about opportunities that you might actually be interested in, instead of things that are not aligned with what you actually want to see. And so in addition to the online coding stuff, there's different kinds of online certifications that you can get. Some of these cost money, some of them don't. And so like I said, Career Advancement Fund is always there as an opportunity. And the Career Advancement Fund, something I forgot to mention is that it doesn't have a closed deadline. It kind of cycles through. So you can keep applying to it throughout the summer in case something shows up. So yeah, that's just a few online things that you might want to do in your own time. And moving on, a couple more things are studying and applications. So I briefly mentioned you can take online courses this summer. Some courses might be eligible, like you might be able to apply for funding through the Career Advancement Fund for that, but some not. I know that there are restrictions against getting funding for online courses that Reed will accept as credit. So if it's something that you're just interested in learning about, that's something that I think CLBR is more likely to fund. But things that are for credit, that has to come out of your own pocket generally, unless they provide financial aid. So another thing that you can study for are exams. So GREs, LSATs, MCATs, these tests are still being offered remotely. So you can still take them within like the next upcoming months. I'm not sure exactly when the testing dates are, but it's important to look at that and register in advance and decide what you're taking, when, and how to prepare for it. So these are all exams that are necessary for certain graduate school applications. And depending on what you're planning to apply to, you need to look and see what exams are going to be required and then study accordingly. So studying for these exams, it's time consuming and it's something that you're definitely going to want to do in advance. So it's a great idea to start studying for these exams this summer. And so talking about graduate school applications, there's graduate school applications and then there's fellowships with fall deadlines. So both of these are applications that have a lot of work that goes into them. There's probably written materials, or maybe some applications you need to create a portfolio to go along with it, letters of recommendation. All of these things need to be worked on way in advance. For example, if you need a letter of recommendation from a professor, you have to request this at least 6 to 8 weeks in advance, because this is not something that a professor can just whip up in a few hours. You need to email them way ahead of time and ask if they'll be willing or available to do this for you, provide them any kind of information that they're going to need to write you a good letter of recommendation. So this might involve like application materials that you've already written. So sometimes professors might want to see your application just so they have an idea of what you're applying for and how you're qualified, and then they can write accordingly, depending on what the application is. Sometimes they're going to need um, a link to where they can upload the letter of recommendation. So this is all stuff that you need to have figured out way in advance. And so sometimes you'll ask them for a letter of recommendation 8 weeks in advance, and then they get back to you and say, can you provide me some additional resources? And you can do so. And that's why it's important to do this early. So if you're applying to something with a September deadline, you're going to want to ask for these recommendations in July, because that's more than 4 weeks in advance. A CLBR recommends 6 to 8, so way ahead of time. And then there's other applications so graduate school and fellowships, I didn't say this, but a lot of that is more geared towards seniors or rising seniors. But there's other stuff too for like non-rising seniors, returning students, like the Boren Scholarship and the Critical Language Scholarship that have fall deadlines. So these are just 2 of many nationally competitive opportunities. The CLS is it's a summer travel award for learning languages. The Boren Scholarship is a year-long study abroad program. Both of these are fully funded and they're nationally competitive, and they have fall application deadlines. So these are things that if you're interested in applying to, you should be looking into that now and starting those applications as soon as they open during the summer. So yeah, that's a few things that you can work on. And moving on to networking. So something that's really important, it's a great resource that I don't know if you've all used it, I've used it a little bit, is the alumni directory. So the alumni directory is on Iris, just like the campus directory, and it's a tool for searching up alumni, and you can search them by location, by major, by profession, the company they work at, etc. So this is a great tool for finding what people who have majored in your major do now. So say, for example, you're an anthro major, you're curious to see what other Reed anthro alums do, you can scroll through the directory and see what these different anthro graduates are doing now. Or alternatively, I am interested in architecture, and Reed doesn't have an architecture major, so I'm going to look up on the alumni directory which alumni are architects. And search these things by location too. So if you're going to be in your hometown, or if you're going to be in Portland and you're interested in connecting with alumni locally, you can find Reedies or Reed graduates in your area using the directory. So this is a great way to find people, and then once you found their names, sometimes their email is on there and they've agreed to be contacted by students, and it says that on the directory. So you could maybe email them, or if you just have their name, sometimes you can search them up on LinkedIn. So this is something I've done in the past where I find an alum, I search them up on LinkedIn, I look at their profile, I see what they've done since graduating from Reed, and then I send them a connection request with a message. And in that message, you should describe who you are, so say you're a current Reed student, and why you're interested in connecting with them. So for example, I find a Reed graduate who's an architect, and I find them on LinkedIn, send them a message and say, hi, I'm a Reed student, I'm majoring in this major, and I'm interested in talking to you because I want to be an architect and I want to see how you got to where you are today, considering, your path from Reed to now. And a lot of times alumni will respond to you on LinkedIn, or they'll say, oh yeah, shoot me an email, like feel free to talk more. So when emailing alumni or other people, so I'm saying all of this about alumni, but you should be thinking about networking with anybody really. So say, for example, you've talked to your professors about an interest in a certain field, they might send you a few names of people you could connect with. So all of this is general networking information. So connecting with alumni is great because they often want to help Reedies, as having been Reedies themselves, knowing, what they've done to get from Reed to where they are now. But also there's tons of other people out there who would be willing to help out a student. And so email them. And similar to the connection request message on LinkedIn, you want to say who you are, why you're emailing them, and what you're curious about asking. And it's great to keep it brief and professional, so that they don't get overwhelmed by like a really long email at once. Just like a little intro to opening a conversation where you can ask more questions later. Because it's important to capture their attention first, get a response, and then you can delve into more detailed conversation later. And so if all of this goes well, you can ask to conduct an informational interview. So an informational interview is an interview with this person where you basically just ask them whatever you're curious about knowing about their career and how they got to where they are. So you could ask them about what grad schools they applied to, what grad school was like, what kind of advice they would give you when you're looking at these programs or applying to certain jobs, etc. Asking them about, what it's like in the company they work at, like company climate and things like that. Things you might want to know from the inside that you can't just find on a Google search. So all of this stuff is really helpful to learn. It's really great to talk to people in fields that you're curious about to get more of an idea about what it's really like in that field now or how it's changed over time. So yeah, I would highly recommend trying to conduct informational interviews over Zoom or any other video chat service, because it's a great way to connect and learn from people remotely. And so depending on the circumstances, if things are able to open back up again throughout the summer, you could try doing a job shadow. So a job shadow is kind of like a more developed informational interview where you actually go to this person's workplace and you get to follow them around throughout the day, see what they do in their job day to day. And these are extremely beneficial for students learning what they're interested in and what they want and don't want in a workspace. And I don't know if there is potential for remote job shadows. I think that's extremely field specific. So if you connect with somebody who says, oh yeah, like I'd be totally willing to show you a few of the things I do at work remotely, that's a great opportunity. I'm not really sure what that would look like depending on the job, but yeah, ask around, connect with people, talk to alumni and see what they do and ask about what you can do to get to where they are now. Or if that's something really important about networking is also finding out what you don't want. And yeah, so I would highly advise talking to people, learning from people, asking questions. If you want help drafting emails, the PCAs are totally equipped to help you with that. Just, asking questions and reaching out to strangers on the internet is intimidating, but there is a specific way to do it professionally and, concise, and we can help you with that if you're intimidated by sending out these, blank emails into the internet. So personal interests. The summer is a great time to focus on things that you don't really normally have time for while being a student at Reed. So there's all kinds of things that I think about throughout the school year that I would like to do that I don't have time for while the school year is happening. So take up hobbies, interests, crafts that you've had your mind on and never got around to, because these things can help you grow as an individual and also sometimes connect with future opportunities. So don't necessarily feel pressured to really focus on like career or academic things. Focus on yourself and what you want to spend your time doing, because the summer is a really great expansive time to dive into new learning opportunities or creation activities that you've wanted to do or not necessarily known about. So the internet's got so much out there. Videos of people teaching you how to make things, how to do things, different kinds of skills you can learn by watching and learning on the internet. And so the summer's a great time to really take advantage of this and delve into this kind of stuff. And another thing is read books. If you don't really know what to read, you've read everything on your current list, ask your professors for recommendations. Sometimes if you're planning on taking a class in the fall and you're really excited about it, maybe ask a professor like for the syllabus or things that they would recommend so that you can kind of start thinking about these things in advance. So yeah, just a couple of resources there. So yeah, the main takeaways that I want you all to remember is don't put all your eggs in one basket. So we don't know what's going to happen this summer, so please be prepared for changes in your summer plans. So for example, if you applied for a job in the past and you're pretty sure that it's still going to happen, we don't know if it's going to be canceled because a lot of things have already. And so it's good to be flexible and to keep that in mind that things might change. Um, so with that in mind, you can use CLBR resources throughout the summer. You can email the PCAs and the staff. We're all bookable by appointment on Handshake, or you can email the PCAs with questions at pca@reed.edu. You can also email CLBR staff. Their emails are available on Handshake too, I'm pretty sure. And use the fellowships search tool on the CLBR website. So I mentioned a couple of applications that have fall deadlines and such. So hunt around on the CLBR website for things you might be interested in applying to, whether it be this summer or whether it be next year. And like I mentioned before, the alumni directory on Iris is a really great tool for connecting with alumni. Okay then, well I think that wraps it up for today. Like I said before, feel free to email me back with any other questions. Yeah, and that's it. Thank you all for coming. Have a good day.